This is how I went from 450 followers to 40,000 across Instagram and TikTok in less than 90 days, despite it taking almost the previous 3 years just to get to the 450. I'm going to share with you the steps that I took so you can copy this exact strategy if you'd like to grow your audience. And guys, don't sleep on this, because with the rise of AI, building a business in 2026 is the only way to get ahead. And whether you want to grow your audience for a new income stream or simply for your own product, copying this will allow you to grow your audience. So that being said, let's get into the antics. But before I do, if you're new to the channel, I just want to say welcome. So if you're new to the channel and myself, I'm James, and I'm a former tech recruiter of around about 8 years and decided to go all in on AI and specifically building AI apps. All I'm doing with this channel is sharing my learnings from building apps I've already built to the future apps that I do build, and just sharing what I learned with you guys so that you too can also build your first AI coded app. Because it blows my mind that you and me are now able to bring our ideas into life with software without the need of hiring software developers. Trust me, I worked in tech recruitment, like I mentioned. I know the costs of hiring a dev and also the timeframes. The fact now that we can spin up things, as I said, it blows my mind. And I just want to share that because maybe you've been sitting on a fence, getting overwhelmed because it is a very overwhelming space in AI. But I just want to share that journey with you so that you can learn along the way and build your first app. So let's get into the analytics. So I think it was about 350 on, or in fact, let's get into the analytics right this second. As you can see here, as of today, as recording this, I'm currently 29,400 across Instagram and 13.5 across TikTok. So actually 42,000 give or take. And if you look here, I just want to show you the analytics of this just to prove, because for the previous 2 years, in fact, let me just go back to this exact, let me find where I am here. If you look back here, I just want to show you something on both of these. If I can go all the way back, it's going to take me a little bit of a while. Just let me get there for a second whilst I just quickly do this, and I'll show you on the other one as well. As you can see, there's a lot of posts, there's a lot of trial and errors, and I want to talk into a little bit about the problems I face with this and where things change so that you can also copy that. But I want to show you just something, and there's a reason I've not deleted these specific videos or photos or anything from my Instagram, because I'm a big believer that if I'm deleting this, I'm just trying to hide stuff, and that's what I don't want to do. I want to make sure that you can see that maybe you've been trying to build your audience for a while, maybe you've been hesitating for a while, thinking it's not going to work, that you don't just see the finished article. Because if you look at some of these early videos, which are very kind of rigid and stiff and not a lot of enthusiasm as I was trying to farm my way into what I want to do, and I said I'll go into the problem in a second here. But if you look at the very first video of 8th of January 2023 is when I first posted on Instagram, and you can see here like March 2024. So almost 3 years. In fact, that is actually, if I look at that, yeah, it's over 3 years now. But when I started getting consistent, I'll just go back on TikTok as well. So when I started getting consistent, I might not let me go down. Let me have a look. When I started actually getting consistent, well, not consistent is not the right word. When I started kind of going down the direction I went down, that was November. I think the exact date was kind of November the 19th of 2025. So it's almost 3 years. And I'll show you the video where things kind of changed for me here. So if I go down to my TikTok, as you can see, I was just posting on TikTok, and I want to go into this in a second. So if you look on TikTok, it's gonna let me look. I'll just being consistent for a second. As you can see, if I can, I don't know if I'll be able to see on the date here at all. If I move this one across for a second, you can see, say 8th of January 2023. So for just 2 years, and if I go onto the analytics here, and I don't think I can go back fully here, but if you look on Instagram, like over the last year, so I can't go back much more than that on the data, unfortunately. Although if I have got screenshots, I will post them here, because I did take some screenshots. So I will post them along one somewhere here on side this. But you can see here, like there was just nothing. And then all of a sudden it kind of kicked off. If we look at that kind of November, I said November 19th. So when it started to take off was around this date, so November 23rd. And you can see, like some days it actually got up to, if I can get up there, 600 odd followers. In fact, it might have even been more, to be fair, like 700 followers. And then it's kind of dialed off a little bit and then kind of going back up again. And if I look at TikTok as well, you can see this, and this is total followers, whereas this Instagram one is just how many followers I gained. But I think up until this, I was about 350. And then if you look at TikTok, this is actual total followers. So as you can see here, I was on 100. Like, bear in mind, I was posting 2 years before this. And I wasn't posting all the time. And again, finding my voice, and I'll go into that in a bit in the video. But as you can see, total followers here, it was 135, 136. It was just like this for ages, trying different things, different things, different things. In fact, I lost followers, to be fair, which is going to be part of it, and it started again. And then if you notice here, I had a little bit of a peak here. I'm not quite sure what it was, but when I started to get to the 19th of November, you can see it in a minute, a little bit of a peak here. I think I started to post a couple of AI videos here, but when I decided in my mindset, I was like, right, content now is going to be leverage. You can see the jump. So I went up to 319, and then all of a sudden it goes up, 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 up. So if I go back to that 19th, 18th, it's like that, and then the 19th suddenly getting 200 followers, and up, 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 up it goes. And we're obviously sitting around about 14,000 as we speak. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the strategy that I used to get there and the steps I took so that you can also follow suit. Right, so let's get into the actual dynamics, how this kind of went. So if I look at what we did here, so first things first, the problem I have is a lot of people, so let me just get this up. A lot of people tell you to be, well, I was listening, obviously, as I was trying to grow on Instagram. I guess the first problem was I was trying to grow on Instagram, and the first problem I had was when I first started those early videos, and there's a reason I haven't removed them, because I knew it was going to take time, but I'll be honest, it took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just trudging away for 2 years. And very early on in what I was doing, to be fair, I just wanted to share my journey, to be honest, about personal development, of what I was learning and growing myself and trying to share that. Because especially that was coming out of a world of after COVID, that, there was a lot of, I think, people seeking community and seeking growth and stuff like that. Because obviously after COVID, I think there was a realization for a lot of people that this whole 9 to 5, what it is, was a wake-up call and going, hang on a minute, I actually want to have a bit more purpose or do something a bit more different in my life and take the opportunity. So a lot of people are looking for growth. And to be fair, that's exactly what I was. And when I started posting on Instagram, all I was kind of posting about was my personal development journey. I guess problem number one that I went into the mindset. So if I just write this here, problem number one was, I just do this. Problem number one I had was, when I was early on, was trying to to make money. And I'm being honest, that was the first thing I did wrong. I literally, when I was coming on Instagram to start off with, I was just thought about trying to make money. And to be honest, I had no idea. I guess I was looking at maybe doing a coaching program, but I had no strategy. I didn't know what was working. Okay. And so I was just posting about my journey, hoping that something would kick off. But purely, it was about making money. Now, the second thing I had, now you're obviously here, a lot of this, hang on, I just apologize if you just seen this, I didn't go onto the screen record. So I was trying to make money. And the second thing I was trying to do as well, problem I had, so let me just write problem here for a second. Problems I had. As you can see, I'm quite new to this software, doing all this screen record stuff. So if I look at this, so the problem I had early on was, trying to look at money. But also the second thing I had was also, I was very scared to niche down. And so I was listening to different people on Instagram, and I think this is where it gets very, very overwhelming, is people tell you different things. And when you're so desperate to grow something or do something, you will just listen to absolutely everything without really taking on board what suits you. Okay. So when I was doing this, I didn't really niche down because I thought I was the niche. And look, this is just my experience. So I'm no expert in this at all. I'm still learning very much. And I'm not for 1 second, look at the strategy I use and take what you need for you. But I'm not pretending to be a social media expert, because I'm not by any stretch of imagination. It's just what I did personally to grow in my own journey. Okay. But I was very scared to kind of niche down, okay? And so I tried to be, because I thought I was a niche, and you'll hear different creators and different people speak about that. Look, I'm going to put this very, very clearly. What I think from my experiences, it depends on the season you are. Now, if you have a massive following already, and again, this is just my experience, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I don't know. But I believe if you have a massive experience already, from my experience, is you can afford to probably not niche down. You can afford to probably be a little bit wider with your content because you've already got the audience. For a while, I was very scared to niche down because I didn't want to get pigeonholed into a certain section and then not be able to get out of it. Okay. And I thought, okay, I'll always be known for that guy. So to be fair, I just thought I'll just share my journey of learning, thinking that would work. And the money side of it, I could grow a course. I don't know, grow the community. I'm not sure what the plans was at that point. I just, wanted to get, out of the job and stuff at that point. And I was scared to niche out, and I didn't. And so for 2 years, I was trudging along, stuck in the 200 view barrier and just not getting anywhere with it. Okay. And then what was the next problem was this, trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay. So the next thing I was doing was when I decided that I was scared to niche down, I was just trying to reinvent the wheel a lot. And it meant coming out of my own ideas that weren't proven, because I thought if I'm the niche, I can come up with ideas that would, people would be interested in. I was so wrong. So very, very quickly when I got very discouraged. If you look through my profile, you notice it when I'd post a while and then maybe wouldn't post for months, and you talked about consistency. I burnt out as well with trying to post every day. And then another problem I had with this as well was I was trying to catch up. Now, some of the creators I was following on Instagram, who are maybe, for example, in the photography space or video space or whatever, or the personal branding space, had these amazing editors or amazing edits, right? And I knew they probably, probably hiring for editors, should I say. So I was trying to edit, and this was learning a new skill, and it would take me hours to learn. It would take me hours to try and edit these wonderful videos. I'm talking even sometimes a day or two for very, very little in return. And I quickly realized that I don't actually enjoy editing at all. And it's not the best use of my time or leverage. Now, also, I wasn't in the position to be able to hire anyone, so I had to do my own editing. But I was like, I need to make this as frictionless as possible. Okay, and that brings me to another thing as well, because a lot of people say about with the cameras and stuff. Now, I'm being honest, I did buy the lighting and all that stuff because I wanted that to be my unfair advantage. Okay, I thought if my content's not very good, at least I wanted to look aesthetically good. Now, again, that's just from my experience. I don't, there's a lot of content creators out there, or a lot of people out there, and actually, let me get to that in a second. Actually, is yes, you could absolutely do it via your phone. You don't need to do the way I did at all. But I was like, I burnt out. I burnt out trying to keep up with these amazing creators. And I just, to be honest, as you can see, I'm very, very not really used this software for too much before. All this stuff. Let me get that. So this is the beauty of it. I'm talking about real-time editing here. This is I burnt out. I burnt out, and I just didn't want to create anymore. I did not want to create any content or anything like that, because I was like, the return I'm getting is very little. So I didn't. And then I was like trying to come back and forth. And then eventually what I did is, right, okay, I'm going to shift. And I was like, what can I shift into? And where I say shift is, I decided at this point was, okay, this whole me being a niche isn't clearly working, and me posting whatever I want isn't working. Again, I cannot stress enough how I think it is different seasons. It's a season. So the season me trying to do that wasn't the right season for me at that time. I had to do a different season. And when I looked at, for example, Alex Hormozy, which people know, and James Smith, there was a couple of things that I noticed. Alex Hormozy obviously started in the gym space, okay? And then changed his content to be about business. And it was the same as James Smith. So if you look at James Smith, his content, he was an online PT, and then eventually he's drifted it all, changed his content. In fact, I think he's got a specific Instagram and YouTube page now purely about business, okay? And I had a friend, I'll reference him here, he's in the trading space as well, so Tom Camp, and we were talking about this, and he was telling me, like, it's not just literally about, he was saying, like, just because you start like this, as like, for example, he does trading, doesn't mean you can't shift later on, okay, into different things. Because at the end of the day, they've got the audiences. Of course they can. Like, they've already built that awareness. So it's that season. So at that point, I was like, well, actually, I need to niche down, to be fair. I need to be known for something and not be afraid to be pigeonholed into that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start with this. And then, eventually, if it grows, I can change things later on. It doesn't mean, just because I start with this, doesn't mean I have to stay like this forever. Like, I can start with this and then move out once I've grown kind of my audience and whatnot. So at that point, I decided, and I'll show you in a second, I decided to move into email marketing. So I thought, right, okay, because I was getting into ghostwriting, email marketing. And sorry, bear with me for a second. And I do, because I know it's not with AI at all here, with email marketing. And I was like, right, I'm going to do ghostwriting. I'll do my email marketing. And I had a specific page for my email marketing. I was like, right, I'm going to niche down on this, and all this content is going to be from email marketing. But actually, I'll get into that in a second. But what actually I had to do was first, now I have heard different things, like, because I heard, like, if your explore page isn't, so if your explore page, again, if your explore page doesn't match up with what you're looking to grow with, there's a problem. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But I just got told, if from a couple of people that I follow in the industry, is that, and they were in coaching businesses for other things, but when it came to doing this, because with content, and it's one thing I got wrong very, very early on, is I looked at content as, I've got to do content, as like, oh, I've got to do content, rather than actually content is leverage. I'm a media first business, and that is a crucial thing. And then what I'm doing off the back of that is an upsell. So the AI stuff, for example, is an after secondary to the fact it's media. And I was like, rather than looking at content as I have to do, like, content is the highest form of leverage. And I will get into that later, what I mean by that, and how that flip kind of changed things for me. But going back to the email marketing. So going back to the email marketing, and I was just posting content about email marketing and different content about authority jacking. So, we sometimes see the videos where you got someone that's well known in the industry, and you kind of clip their first initial video and then you talk about it. And I was doing quite a lot of that around Hormozy and trying to think who else. I was doing a little bit with James Smith as well, and literally clipping some of their stuff about email marketing and referencing that. Okay. And look, I had a little bit of traction, not a lot, to be fair, with that. I think it got me to about 70 to 80 followers on that. But the problem was, this was the other problem. I just wasn't passionate about it, to be fair. And look, this passion thing is a funny one, because I know some people say follow your passion, some don't. But I just wasn't as energetic about. Now, I guess it was still learning for me and new, so I wasn't across it enough. But there was a clear difference when I went into AI and still learning about it, and the way I was showing up with my energy and stuff like that. So I wasn't excited about creating content. I wasn't enthusiastic about creating content. I wasn't excited about it at all. It's like, again, the mindset was, oh, I've got to make content. It's not like I get to. It's like, I have to make content to try and grow this. It wasn't like I get to make content. Content is leverage. It was like, oh, and again, it was a bit like stop start. So for months, I actually didn't post, and the reason being is because eventually got into AI. So in about I think it was May 2025 last year, I built my very first app on using Emergent as the tool, and I'll link that below as well. And using Emergent as a tool, and I just got hooked. I was just like this. I was putting on all these kind of late nights, just saying. And to be honest, the app was crap. Like, the design of it was crap. It was so AI generated and looked off, to be fair, and it didn't work properly. But it just opened my mind to the fact, I was like, oh my god, like, I can see what's in my head, and now it's like I can take from what's in my head and actually now see a vision kind of this come to fruition. I was like, this is amazing. This blows my mind. And I just got hooked and I got obsessed. And that kind of journey, then I was like, right, screw the email marketing. I wasn't creating on content at this point, but I was like, screw the email marketing stuff at the moment. To be fair, as well as trying to grow a business, the fact I wasn't making any income, and I was like, I really need to grow some income here. But I was like, screw this, I'm going to go and learn. I just got obsessed with building apps. And eventually that led me down. And again, it's not the purpose of this video, and I'll link to some other videos about that. But I just got obsessed. I was like, it blew my mind. And I just went down this rabbit hole of like, okay, if I can do this, what else can I do? And that's how it led to me to going down from moving from these kind of vibe coded tools, well, initial ones like Lovable and Emergent and whatnot, into using Cursor originally, and taking things over from there to Cursor, and then eventually actually going over to using pretty much Claude Code. So I use the Max Plan for Claude Code to go and build my apps. And I just spent the next 5 months, May last year, but up until November, just literally building apps. Like, I think I've built about 4 apps, and none of them, one or two of them, I did try to put into production. But again, I learned that. And again, it's not a post video. But at that point, I was like, okay, I quickly learned. I was like, okay, yes, I can build things, but distribution is going to be key. I need to grow this Instagram. I need to suss this out. I was like, because I know content is leverage. And I was like, because I can post something and 6 months later, you can still be getting views or follows or leads, for example. Okay. And this is where things shifted. So let me go back to the Instagram page for a second. Where am I on? Sorry, I've lost it now. So if I go back to here, I don't actually need my TikTok out because it's pretty much the same. So if I just get rid of this one for a second, get rid of that. We'll just go full screen on that. So this is where things kind of changed. Let's get up. So it was about November the 19th. So if we see here, I was posting, I think it was this video here, actually, AI apps. So it might have been, okay, so I was starting here. So if we look at this video here, and this is June, again, nothing posting. And then this was an AI clone of me, and I wasn't impressed with it because I was like, okay, how can I remove friction as much as possible? And I cannot stress that enough about removing friction. So for example, for me, is I have a camera set up right here, I have a light set up here. All I have to do is plug and play. So for me, it's like, this has got to be as frictionless as possible. Plug, plug, plug. I can start, I can record. It takes me now 5-10 minutes to record a video, and editing is still the pain in my ass, but I've got that to a point where I'm like, I can get that done as quick as possible without causing me too much stress. Eventually, I'm going to hire that out, but I can cause it without too much stress. I was like, okay, I've got to make this as frictionless as possible. And that's something that you probably need to do as well, is to make it as frictionless as you can, because with friction in there, you are just going to make kind of excuses and remove the friction, because you are just going to, if you have friction in your way, you are just going to be making excuses for yourself on why you can't do it. And so you might do 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 days or whatever, but eventually when that friction gets in the way a little bit, like one day, and then one day rolls into 2, you are just going to eventually get out the habit of doing it. And so make sure that you, from my experiences, you set up a system where it's as frictionless as possible, that all you have to do is press record, and it's easy as that. Now, whether that's on a phone, whether that is getting a camera and you just have it up. So I have a permanent setup here. So at my desk, the one I'm recording on now, let's say it's a Sony camera. Have my lights. Just switch things on. Well, it takes a minute to switch things, if that. Press record, done. Edit, change it over to my computer, edit that, and it's done. That has been an absolute lifesaver for me to actually creating content. Okay, but let's go back to, for example, that Instagram. So you can see here, I was creating an IO climb. Didn't work very well. In fact, I'm surprised I actually got people talking about it. Oh, a few comments. And then I was still trying to reinvent the wheel. So I was like, okay, do you know what? I love AI. I love talking about AI stuff. I love this kind of whole, I was like, yes, I can see, if I'm going to niche down for the season, I mean, okay, yeah, happy to niche down in AI. And because I just want to share the learning of that, as it blows my mind. In fact, that might have been, I don't know if you can see. Actually, if I go on it, this video here, I'll show you in a second. This video, when it pops up in a second, I think it was called Run Lens, and it was just to track my running, and you'll see it come up in a second. But I was like, okay, I can talk about AI. Like I love that was my first app I built. I love talking about, and then you'll see this where I've come from with this in terms of my second, like with doing mobile apps. But I was like, I love talking about this. So I can talk about this. But again, I was still trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay, and that was a major problem. And then eventually, I came across a guy, which I'm sure, and I'll link. I'm sure you recognize this, right? A guy called Nick Sarav. And he talked about how he grew on Instagram from 0 to 10K in about 15 days, or gained 10,000 followers in 15 days. And I watched his video and I was like, okay, James, like, you need to stop being stupid now. Like, you can do this, and but you've just got to get very specific what it is I'm doing. And obviously his method was working, and what he was showing me, I was like, okay, I can do that. I can copy this. Like, I can still this kind of framework to do as well. And with a few other people I've worked with as well. So I had, for example, if you come across Tom Youngs, he was, when he grew on Instagram, he was telling me about, he was still like an artist. And it was about, most, I don't know, most, I think people on here don't tell you that they copy ideas from other people and they just change it to their own kind of niche. Okay. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about finding the ideas that work, that you can go change to and adapt to yours, still like an artist, change to adapt to yours and change it to your story, whatnot. But look at the hook, look at that opening hook that's worked, change it, still the hook. I'm saying still the hook, and change it to your niche and adapt it to where you are. Don't make it hard for yourself. And that was what I was doing. So when I watched that video of Nick Sarah, I was like, okay, I can do that. I can talk about AI tools. And this is when I started to look at things different. So if you notice here, this is not here, still in October. I posted a couple of tools here, but it wasn't great, to be fair. But And then you notice here, I think this is where things start to change. So I posted, in fact, if I go on the views here, I wonder if I can. Oh, actually, you can't see this, can you? You can see this is not smooth at all. But if I go back to early on these videos here, you can see that I was getting more views, and this might be now because things have grown, but I was getting more views, but it still wasn't a lot. And then things changed, as you can see. I was like, okay, I'm going to post. So you look at 21st, 22nd, and then this video was the one that changed everything, the 593, and things just absolutely grew from that. I was like, I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel here. But what I did do to help me along the way was I used this app. I don't know if you can see it here, called Get Poppy. I was like, okay, what I'm going to do, and you can see the mess in this session, a second, so to say. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take people I know whose Instagram content's worked, and all I want to do is like, I need to understand this. I need to understand, like, it's all good and well visually telling me, but I was like, I actually need to, yes, I'm a visual person, but I need to sit there and actually understand as well. So I would chuck in a couple of creators like Tom Nosky, Tom Youngs, even Nick, and I just would literally please, like using this, I was like, analyze this and tell me what it is they're doing, and so that I can and then put it into like a summary. So to be fair, I don't know if you can see this somewhere here, but put this into like a summary here. So like hooks. Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, that I had also like a brand voice. So I got it to study my voice, and it also had like different things here from where are we, like Tom Nosky's and stuff. And I was like, just analyze it and put it in a summary for me so that I can actually see, okay, what I was doing. And then what I needed to do was, okay, so once we started doing that, I was like, okay, things are going to change. So let's change this for a second. Things changing. So I was using, as I said, Get Poppy to study. And what I also had to do was like, okay, I'm going to niche down to AI tools. Okay. Next thing I had to do was also change mindset. It was, I get to do this. It's leverage. Content is leverage. This is leverage. I'm just going to focus. I'm going to focus on AI tools. I was like, okay, I can focus on AI tools. And I stopped worrying about the money side of things. I was just like, I'm just going to focus on AI tools. And because I was like, okay, if I'm building apps now, and this, I guess this is where things shifted a little bit. It was like, okay, if I'm building apps and I noticed that I had a problem with distribution, I was like, I don't really care about, let's say, when I first started Instagram, it was about how can I make money, just extra income. But the journey is obviously taking me to this, where I was like, now I'm building apps. I was like, I don't care about making money from Instagram. What I need is I need awareness so that I can eventually kind of have people here and kind of follow them way down into my world. Okay. And what I did, I was like, right, cool. I'll just focus on AI tools. I'll look at the content. So I'll find content of people that are doing well, like Nick and a few others as well. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Just talk about tools. And then the key here is just to grow the audience so that I can get people eventually over to my email list and eventually over to like my school community and into my world as well. Okay. But again, the next kind of issue I had with this was, as you can see, I was finding ideas. Now, very, very key here that what things that changed for me, I heard this was like, I didn't bother starting a new Instagram page on this one. I was like, I'm just going to use the one I've got. But what I will do is I'll start liking on Instagram AI stuff. So what I did because I looked at my explore page and I was like, this is nothing related to AI. And I've heard it can't, if you've got mixed things like this. So I was like, what I'll do is for a period of time, I will just go and like things on Instagram. Okay. So, I like things on AI. So I'll just search for AI and like, comment, and follow stuff that I actually enjoyed and start following people that I enjoyed their content as well. Now, whether that shifted things, I don't know. Also, my algorithm, my explore page did change to slightly AI related content. Whether that helped or not, I don't know. I said, give it a try if it's something you've been struggling with. But I was like, okay, let's find AI tools now. So I started to find, now because of this, I started to come across people on Instagram, and I was saving it, whatnot, and I'll take it over to Get Puppy here, should I say, and now, I have, like, my brain is a chaotic mess most of the time. With an ADHD brain, it is a chaotic mess, and I have been diagnosed with that. And before anyone says anything, but as you can see, my brain is an absolute mess. And I was like, this is causing me friction. So I was like, I love this tool. It's helped me understand, helped me to write a little bit more. But I was like, this is problematic. I was like, not only that, I'm trying to find it on Instagram, bring it here. I'm trying to then use Notion, then play on somewhere else like a ClickUps. And I was like, this is just messy. This is just problematic. I was like, this is horrible. And I was like, I can't deal with this. I knew in my mind this was going to cause friction. So the next thing we had to do was find something that allowed me, to be fair, and I created this, allowed me to do that. And I was like, I've got to build my own problem here. So I was like, okay, I need to find something. So originally started as like, I need to find something, or if I can, because I was using also something called Viral Finder to find ideas. But again, I was like, across multiple apps, I was like, this is just a mess. And I was like, scattered across everywhere. So I was like, okay, I've got to build something here. And I was like, okay, what I need is a place where I can find ideas, I can save those ideas. So I won't go into the search function, for example, now, but if you just have a quick look here, I need to find my ideas. I need to then be able to save them in places. It's just doing it, search in the back end. And then also be able to not only do that, is there to save. I can see by views how they're doing. I can see by engagement what they're doing as well. So if I go back, let's see if that cached. I'm not sure if it did because I might have cut it off. So I can see exactly. So I don't know if that just came out. I'm not sure it did. But you have to save these ideas, okay, into like an ideas catcher. So these are all different ideas that I've found. I was like, I can now see exactly, and obviously you can do it by date, but I was like, I can see by views, I can see by engagement, I can see by most recent, and I can see, okay, well, what's winning for other people? So let me save it. Then I was like, okay, great. And then I can save it to folders. And then I can actually then take those and have a bit of a content calendar to see where I'm at. And I can take it and then have a planning board so I can see where I'm at in selection, where I'm at in scripting. Again, this is all automated. So once I add these to folders, for example, I can see that. So I can select this for production. I can see where they're at. So then they're on my board and I know exactly where they're at. And then I'm like, okay, now I can go and script these. And if I look at, for example, this one just for a second, if I look at this one a second, and then I can go and script. So I haven't actually written the script on this one, but then I get the full transcript of what that is. So I can study as well what they're doing. And then I can go, and it also brings in the hooks. It gives me the hook. I can also add my own hook, add my caption, write out my script. I'm like, this is all in one place. So I can just find ideas, save it. And using this as well has helped me absolutely massively to grow, because it's just, again, it's about removing friction. It's about removing, oh, you can't actually see, can you? So I just made a massive error and I realized I wasn't actually on the screen record. So that was good. So if we quickly go back there, I'll just quickly show you. I'm not sure if you saw the get puppy. So if you see this mess here or things. So sorry if I'm repeating myself again. Very new to this long form stuff. It's a work in progress, and this will go out, because again, it's not about re-recording. Like, who cares? Like, I want to give you guys value, but at the same time, I want to show the growth. So anyone that's starting across this for the first time can also do that. But as you can see here, so apologies if there's a bit of a double over here, but as you can see here, with my ADHD brain, and said that has been diagnosed, it's a chaotic mess. It was just a mess. So I'm finding ideas, and I was like, this is not workable. So I was like, this is where I had to find my own thing or build my own thing, and this is where I was like, I need to build something that is all in one go. So I was like, I need to be able to find not only find the creators that I have, find the ideas, be able to save them, but also to my ideas library here, so I can see all the different ideas. I can see the views they've got, I can see the engagement they've got. If I go back to this one for a second, you can see what I can view by views, engagement, recent. And then once I've got those ideas, I can add them to the folders. So if you look here, I can add them to different folders. And then I can add them to, when I'm ready, I can add them to production, okay? And then what that does, I can also see my content calendar, see where everything's at now. I also have a planning board, so I can now see where everything is at, including my archive, so everything that's been published. I can now see, and again, I built this for myself because I was like, I just needed this one tool, because I say I was using File Finder, Instagram, Notion, and it was just a mess. And then what I can do is, okay, if I go on this one, let's do this one, for example, I can now go and study, because it pulls in the transcript and it pulls in the exact hook as well up here. So I can add different hooks, and then I can pull in the transcript and actually start studying them. And to be fair, after doing this now for again, still massively learning, is, I've started to find, as you're doing this more and more, you start to find what works from a hook point of view, like specificity, and what kind of works with the kind of things like that. Again, it was just through using Poppy to analyze people and go, okay, how does this work? Like, break it down for me, like I'm a 5-year-old pretty much. Like, break it down for me, because I don't understand this. Break this down for me. And now I can use a script and record all in one app and find all these ideas. Now I'm using that and looking at it with a different mindset. There's a couple of other things as well. I needed to be in my videos. I needed to be energetic. I don't know if I spelled that right. Energetic. The way I came across, I had to be. I was like, if I cannot be infused about what I'm doing, why would you want to be infused and follow me? Like, you wouldn't, because why would you want to follow someone that's moody? So I was like, I had to be energetic about what I was doing. And because I love talking about AI and building AI apps, I was like, I want to, I need for that energy to come across. That was a big mind shift for me when I was like, okay, this is, make this as energetic as as possible with that stuff. So by using copy and, as I said, Publio to find the ideas, and let me just add that, to find ideas and remove friction in workflow, that using Poppy and then the way I come across has allowed me to grow my Instagram, as I said, to where it is. And the big shift I actually also did as well is what I noticed when I was growing very early on the videos was people commenting for the tool and obviously getting tools, but using, so if I go back just quickly, using something probably many of you heard is ManyChat, because the big problem I had on TikTok, and I still do today, and I don't know if there's anyone out there that has a tool that can auto DM, but when people do comment, it's very, very hard to respond when you get a lot of comments. As I said, when that first video blew up, I was like, I can't keep up with this. So that's when I installed ManyChat and put up an automation. So when someone comments, they automatically get told. And that obviously helped the engagement, that helped grow things a little bit, because I was able to comment back within, well, it wasn't me, it was automation, but within like, a minute or so with the tool. But the next thing I found as well was like, okay, a lot of people commenting, but the followers was growing okay, but I was kind of studying what I was doing. So what the next thing I would do was like, right, study the people, study how they were getting followers as well. So what I noticed in their many chats was they were like, right, to get this tool, you need to comment this word. Okay, oh, sorry, to get this tool, you need to follow. So what I would set my ManyChat automation up, and this, again, not for the purpose of this video, is I would set up the ManyChat. So when someone commented, they had to check, the system would check to see if they're following me first. And if they weren't, they couldn't get the tools. People do try and I go, they don't. But as soon as they click follow and they go to my page and they follow and come back, they'll get the tool. And so that grew my following quite a lot. And again, what the mindset was, how I was looking at the mindset of Instagram was, let me have a look. Sorry, you can see this is unedited, kind of scrappy, to be fair. Things are scrappy, that's what I've learned. Also, what I needed to do with my Instagram was, right, again, Instagram was top of funnel. It was top of funnel, and mindset of, I am creating content as if they're new all the time. So as if you are a new person, every time you are a new person. So if I just can't do that again, that's a new person. So every piece of content, I'm acting, again, I think I heard this from Jose, is act as if they've never come across you before. So every piece of content was acting as if you are a new person, okay, to grow. Because a lot of times you'll find that if things start to take off, actually your video goes more out to non-followers than it does to your own followers. And then what also, because I appreciate this video is going a lot longer than I thought it was, to be fair, but what I also learn as well was, for example, trial reels. So if I go back to my content, for example, here, you can see that things were dipping off. So I started to use the trial reel features, and then because I was speaking to a good friend of mine who his Instagram he does music production, like his name is Washington, and he'd grown up to about 34,000 I think on Instagram at that point, and he was giving me some tips, and he was using this trial reel feature, and I was using that, and that did actually have some growth. But then things suddenly dropped off, and also the drop off as well was to be honest, I don't want to post every day. I didn't want to post every day because I was like, I don't, again, Instagram, yes, it's content is important, it's leverage, but I'm also trying to grow, publicly, I'm trying to grow a business and also build up my school community of helping others as well. And I was like, I don't want to be in the race where I'm posting every day, because especially trying to edit as well. I was like, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to burn out. So I need to find system. So I actually was posting not as consistent. So whereas it was a period I was doing it maybe every day, I went down to some weeks, to be fair, went down to 1 or 2 times a week. But the big thing I learned as well was, it wasn't about how many times you posted, it's about the consistency. So, again, my friend Tom talked about this. It's like, if you're going to do it, don't do like Monday one week, Wednesday the next week. Now, this may have changed, I don't know. Just from my perspective, again, I start to see a bit of difference, is don't just be like one day Monday, Tuesday. And I didn't have systems in place. So now it's like, okay, I'm posting Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at 7 o'clock. They're my times for now. I'm testing that because everything is a hypothesis. Everything is testing. Everything is a hypothesis on a test. Everything is a test, and we're just collecting data. Okay, that's all it is. It's collecting data. And so I want to see. So what I noticed, start to see, is that my following here, especially on Instagram, has started to drop. And I was like, okay, my follows. So if I go back to my Instagram page here for a second, where is it? You can start to see like things are picking up here and taking off. I'm getting, my average views are probably going up from where they were, like 3,000, 2,000. They're starting to pick up here, 12,000. I'm getting, some views 155, starting to go up 31, getting some outliers here. And the average views are starting to roughly go up most videos, but to about 10 to 12. And then you notice in a second that things did start to drop off for a little bit, although they probably have picked up a little bit just because of, obviously, I've had traction with some more views. But you can see that in this data here, things started to trend down quite a bit. I wasn't posting as much, and it just the followers weren't as coming in as much. But what did happen, if I don't know if you can see the views here, you can see it because it goes up and it kind of starts trending down to here, and then it starts trending back up again. I was like, okay, I need to get into a consistency pattern. I was like, I'm going to post Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And what I'm going to do again, I thank Washington for this. He was like, okay, with his trial rules, he's giving it the full 3 days. I wasn't doing that. Okay, I was giving it like a day. If it wasn't upon the numbers, I'll pull it. I'm not pull it, but I would then upload again. But he gave me a metric of around about 10,000 views. And so what I needed to do was like, okay, I actually got to give it the full 3 days. So what I was doing now, and you can see this on this video here, actually, where I was like, right, let's give it the full 3 days to go out to non-followers. If it's over 10,000, I'll post it to the main. If it's not, I'll upload it. Okay. And as you can see, this is in fact, this is a trial reel as we speak at the moment. This is a trial reel. Hence why it's viewing. Now, what I noticed is that it takes about 2 to 3 days to actually start to pump up anyway, whereas this one isn't a trial reel. So I was like, okay, I'll do that, get a system. So 3 days before, I'm going to post that video, let it give it the 3 days, see what it's like, and I'll do that or not. And if it's over the 10,000, I'll push it. And if it's not, then I'll pull it or I won't pull it, but I'll repost on my main without doing a trial, if that makes sense. And then you can see now the views have started to go up again. But the key thing here to also note is, sorry, I was looking at my notes there. The key thing to also note here, the key thing to also note is when you start trying to reinvent the wheel, you copy and look at other people that's working. Use the tools, like even if you're not Pablo, Viral Finder, or on Instagram, use the tools that you can find content, study what's working, go, okay, this has worked for them. Why can't it work for you? Look at the hook, take the hook and go, why can't it work for you? Find out ideas, start understanding the structure. Look, at the start, as I said, it takes a bit of time, but once you start posting more, you start to say, okay, that structure works. And it's all getting tests. I was, even with my views are going down recently, I was like, okay, is it the way I'm scripting a little bit? Things need changing. Let's just do small little tests. You don't want to change too much at one go because you won't know what's working. Hence why I was doing the trial reel stuff. But as I said, you want to make it as frictionless as possible, make things easy. And the way I also looked at Instagram as well now was, as I said, it was top of funnel. The whole point was, and this is what I want to kind of do, is go, sorry, let's get rid of that for a second, is do that again, is go, right, top of funnel is Instagram. So it's like it's the awareness thing. People come into my world, and I'll go into this in another video about the kind of the marketing side of things that I've learned from the content kind of, I guess, flywheel system, if you want to call it that. So Instagram is that top of funnel, and then it's to drive people down. So in my many chats, what I do is after 24 hours or so, I'll say, hey, how did you find the tool? I have an email list, and to be fair, I've been pretty lazy with this. I need to actually build better lead gen systems. I haven't done that, but it's push people into my email marketing, say, hey, I have an email marketing. So I have an email list that talks about building apps and stuff. It's specifically about apps, but generally about AI. Do you want to sign up? Yes or no? And people then, so that grew a bit as well. But also from that, in the first message of my mini chat, I'd also say, here's a tool. PS, I also have a school community of that, and it was a free community of all AI other tools. And that, if I quickly go on this for a second, school, I don't know if I'm logged in on this one. So let me just try and find this. This may not work. Labs, AI Founders Labs. Have a look. Just realised you're on me and not this. I've got to get better at this because I've got this on one main screen and then another on the OBS on the other screen. I'm not always looking, but you can see here now up to 1,300 members, and that's email addresses as well that I'm picking up as well. So that grew my email list to over 2,000. Now the key thing here is I was growing the free one to then go into the paid community to help other builds, like a kind of low ticket thing. And I'll be honest, it flopped. The launch, and I'll talk about another video, that flopped. And it taught me a lot that, just because I got all these people here and into my email list, I have to also, nurture them and warm them up. It's not a case of, and I got that wrong. I got that completely wrong. And I'll talk about it in another time. But it was okay, that's a lesson for me to learn. But now I can use also the audience I'm building to start talking about Publio and talking about this stuff as well. Now, also now we're trying to push the people to the YouTube and do that. So you actually notice now if you comment at all, it won't necessarily be about AI Founders Lab anymore. It will be about a YouTube video, and the whole point of that is now to grow my YouTube to get you, because I know, hadn't people on Instagram hadn't had enough of interactions with me. And there's actually research about this with Google. I think it's like someone needs about 7 hours with you across 11 interactions, hadn't had enough. So I've gone from people into Instagram, into my email list, to this free school community, which, to be fair, this is the free one is for a hub for people to get the tools and a little bit of, I'll post YouTube videos, but eventually it's, building out the AI Founder Studio, which, look, if you are looking to build your first app and you've had experience or not, or you need a little bit of help, there is a link down below where you can join AI Founder Studio, and that's where it's a bit more intimate and a bit more one-on-one, where I do live Q&A as well, plus there's lessons for you to go through in your own pace if you want to build. And it's just, things that have allowed me to build Publio and Inspiro and other things as well. But as I said, look, the whole point is I was driving people here and I was like, okay, people haven't got enough time. But look, that's for another video. So I'll leave it at that for now. And just, did that come up? You see the understood this, so I'm just having a look to see if it did come up, the school community. Yeah, it did. Okay, so yeah, and that is exactly how I grew my Instagram following to where I am at the moment with, as I said, around about 29 across Instagram and 13 across TikTok in less than 90 days. And so by all means, copy the same strategy to help you grow yours. And there's links to some of the tools. And if you want the free resources down below, but also want to work with me in a bit more of a one-on-one basis, in a bit more of a live Q&A basis, and learn in your own time, there's a link down there. Otherwise, if you haven't subscribed already and did enjoy this video, then please, again, this is all about sharing the learning. And if you're looking to grow this area as well, you can see all the mistakes that I made, but please do subscribe. And otherwise, I will see you on the next time.